Hi, everybody. It's Tina Campbell, the New York Regional Partner of Master Networks. So we are a national networking organization, but we're here in New York, and we're looking to help entrepreneurs, business people to grow and hopefully to pivot during this difficult time where we're going into kind of like this new norm. So today I'm really excited because I have a friend of mine, Karinta DiMartino, who's here, and she's going to talk about, what is title insurance, why do you need it, and what's happening in today's market. So welcome, Karinta. How are you?
Oh, hi, Tina. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm good. I'm really good in this crazy world that we're living in, but I'm good.
Exactly. Could you give us a bit of your background so that we understand, your experience with title insurance?
Sure. Well, I've been with Statewide for 22 years. But my previous background and part of the reason why I think I'm successful in what I do as a salesperson for Statewide is the fact that I sold real estate for a while. So I understand what a real estate agent does. And then I worked for a bank. I ended up opening and managing a branch for what became M&T in Mount Kisco. There's a branch right across the street from the diner.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the whole background. I worked with a lot of loan officers. I worked for the construction lending division of Hudson Valley Bank. So I know what the transaction is to build a house. I built my own home, so I understand all that. I've worked with builders. So I work with a lot of people in the industry. And what I tell people all the time is the only thing I'm missing is my law degree, but I don't have any intentions of becoming a lawyer. So.
You sure? You sure?
I made it a point to make sure I know a lot of really good real estate attorneys.
Well, that's it. That's it. You have to know when to give it off to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah, right. And that's really why I love what I do too, is because it has allowed me to not only be involved with people that are in the real estate industry, but it also allows me to have relationships with attorneys that do, tax, divorce, personal injury, estate planning. And eventually some of these people will all have a real estate transaction, or at least I know who they are and I can send customers to them. Someone will call me up and say, I had a real estate agent call me up one day years ago. He was in some trouble with the IRS. He said, I need a good tax attorney. Can you refer me to someone? And I did. And he was so grateful because this person was, look, I try to be the person that's involved more on a personal level. I'm not a salesy person. So the people that I surround myself are like me. And we don't do everything on a salesy level, and when they know that I refer them, they know that they have to be themselves,
Right.
just do the right thing. Right. Yeah. A lot of times a real estate agent will call me and they'll need a deed or a situation has come up. I'm more than happy to help them out. If I can find out the information, that's what I do. And I love it. It's good.
Well, I have to say one thing I know about you is that you are amazing, like a super connector.
Oh, thank you. I try.
But that's it. I mean, it's like it seems to come like effortlessly. And I always tell people, I'm like, you are an amazing resource to them. And I think that's where people have to understand where title is in the middle of this transaction. So can you explain that? Because I know it took me a while until I came into Master Networks to understand what it was.
That's all right. Before I started working for Kenny Messia, and when I was interviewing with him, he said to me one day, during the interview, he said, well, do you know what title insurance is? And I said, no. And he said, do you own your home? And I said, yes. And he said, have you ever refinanced? And I said, yes. And he said, and you don't know what title insurance is? And I said, no.
No, it's like same here.
Yes. Right. So, look, I depended on my attorney to take care of all that. So title insurance, there's two parts to a title insurance report. There's the abstract part, which is what we insure. So that identifies who the actual owner is in a deed, who the person is buying. We confirm who they are. We check on any liens, any encumbrances, any encroachments on the property. We're responsible for all of that. So that's what we ensure, is that when you buy a piece of property, you're buying it free and clear of any liens and encumbrances on the property. The second part of the title report is the municipal report. And that's the part that shows your certificates of occupancy, any fire or building violations, anything like that. We do not insure that, but a bank will ask to see that. And if there's a problem, that has to get fixed. Some banks will tell you, well, we don't require a municipal search, and that's fine. But as a purchasing attorney, most likely they're going to want to see it anyway, because they want to make sure that their client is buying what they say that they're getting.
Right.
So there could be a home that has, if you pull the property card, it'll say that the house has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, but the house actually has 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. So the buyer's attorney might want to see that municipal report, because what he wants to know is, he wants to be able to tell his client, look, it's not legal. It's a legal 3, not a 4. And is your septic system and well set up for that?
Right.
So, there's so many intricacies. Recently I worked with a girl who purchased a building in Putnam Lake, and she said, my husband and I were thinking about, she was a hairdresser. She bought the building. Her husband is a graphic artist. Lovely, lovely, lovely young couple. And they said to me, we were thinking about getting our real estate license, but after working with you on this, we just said, it's too much work. We don't want to do it,
Right.
Another 2 agents that I know, they're going to be listing property in Lewisboro. And they called me. The man that owns it owns 5 acres. His house is on the 5 acres. He owns an additional 2 acres that he wants to sell. It's been legally subdivided in the 60s. There's an easement that says he has the access to the well and the septic, which are on the 2 acres that he wants to sell off.
Oh boy.
So I said to them, okay, well, that's great. And I found the easement and I found the deed to both properties. I sent it to them. And I said, but what you really need to do is go to the zoning department. Just because that easement is there, as a buyer, do I want to buy a piece of property that has a well and a septic that I have to share? How old is it? Is it going to be able to, is the septic large enough for another 3 or 4 bedroom house? I might not want to do that. And will the town even allow that? Will the town of Lewisboro, is that what it's zoned for currently? So there's so many different parts to a title report that would come up in all of that. And so if you have, as a listing agent, if you have the jump on that, you're that much, you seem as if you're more educated, and you are more educated, One of the agents on one of the master networks called, I had a conversation with her the other day. She works in Rockland County, and she's new as a real estate agent. And she said to me, can you help me? And I told her a few things to do, and she was very grateful. And then I called her up afterward and I said, you know what? Why don't you start this on your own house? Do your own search on your own house.
Great idea.
And I said, you'll be able to find that out. Go to the building department, get the property card, match the C of O's against the property card, do it on your own home. How easy is that? This way, if you make a mistake, it's on your own home, So you're not saying to a listing client, I have the information and it might be incorrect. You've already practiced on your own home.
It's really, what's amazing to me? So this is the kind of thing that people don't realize that's going on in the background, right?
Right.
It really is kind of the background. And can I ask you something? Does that mean that title insurance was born because it's a way to make sure people are checking on this kind of thing? You think that's why title insurance was actually born out of maybe in the past when people just didn't have information on the land? Maybe it wasn't really someone's sell or something like that. It's been around for a long, long time. I have a video about Abe Lincoln. If Abe Lincoln's father had had title insurance, he wouldn't have lost their first home. But title insurance, look, you want to protect your buyer and you want to protect what they're buying. The banks want to be protected. That's why there's 2 different policies. There's the owner policy when you purchase, and then there's the lender's policy if you have a mortgage. So I have 2, I have 2 because I have a mortgage.
Right. But they're combined. So there's a SIMO rate that you get a discount when you get both. But let's say if you were going to buy a home and you paid for it in cash and you said, I don't want title insurance, you don't have to have title insurance because you're paying cash for it, but I'm sure your attorney would suggest that you get it for the simple reason that the person that you're buying it from might not really own it alone, say, okay? Maybe there's a long lost cousin or sibling that was entitled to a piece of it at the time of the sale. You as the buyer wouldn't know that. But if this sibling or cousin comes back and says, I want my half of what I'm due, the title insurance is responsible for paying that.
Because they didn't bring it out or missed
If
it.
you didn't get title insurance, you're going to be responsible for that because they're going to take you to court.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had a situation like that with a friend of mine who was buying a house that she thought her parents owned, and they didn't. So the grandfather originally owned it, and he had 2 sons. And one son got married and moved off and had 3 kids. And the other son stayed in the home with his wife and had 5 kids and raised them there. The father passed away. The mother said, okay, I'm going to leave you the house to the daughter. So she quitclaimed the deed to the daughter, which she thought she did. Thought she was leaving it to her daughter because her daughter had taken care of her. So when the mother passed away, all the cousins from the father's brother came back and said, okay, we want it sold and we want our piece. And she said, what are you talking about? And they were entitled to it. So she wanted to stay there. She ended up having to refinance the house. So she had to buy everybody out.
Wow.
Yeah. So, these are things that,
So
that,
it seems like even if you're doing something like selling something to your family, you really should talk to an attorney who may want to say, look, let's just make sure this is free and clear, is really what you're saying. Is it free and clear of anything, any claims, and any, as you said, even the COs, things that were done improperly perhaps, and you're going to be able to find that out before. This is amazing to me. This is almost like, to me, it's like Carfax.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know that's being facetious, but I don't.
No. I get it. Yeah, I get it. Well, look, even a survey, I'll have agents say, well, isn't there a file? Isn't there a survey on file? And I'll say, yeah, but it was from 1968. Do you really want to use that survey? I mean, you can, if it was done for title insurance purposes, you can. And I understand that it's an expense. It could be $800 for a new survey, but my advice to the client buying would be, don't you want to know what you're buying on the outside as well as the inside? Because, we have a deal now at Statewide where the buyer's attorney is representing the person buying, and obviously, but they asked for a new survey. Well, the new survey shows that on 5 feet on 3 sides of the house, they're being encroached on. Somebody put their fence 5 feet in on all 3 sides.
Wow.
That's a lot of feet. That's a lot of footage. Yeah. So, what do you want to do about this?
Yeah.
And the people selling were like, well, we didn't know this. Okay, well, that's why you get a new survey. That's why we suggest a new survey. Right. Some banks want it. If you have commercial property, that's a whole nother rodeo. Commercial property, you have to have a new survey. Or the survey that's existing has to be recertified. But it's not the same with all residential transactions. So
let me ask you something. So your best, we kind of talk about this because, title insurance is in this, in the kind of the circle of what's happening within this transaction of real estate, right? You're involved in that. So somebody like me, I don't think I knew when I bought this house 20 years ago, I didn't know who the title person was. Like now that I know you and I know what's going on, I have a better understanding. I don't know who that is. But the point is that, so a regular person might not know, you, but they can go and the most important thing is that you're trying to educate people to understand what this is, because you really come into the transaction through a realtor or through an attorney, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Or if there's a mortgage officer that's doing refinance business, they can also order the title through me. So here's what I tell people. Every meeting that I've ever gone to, the first thing I start out with anybody that I know. I had dinner at a restaurant on City Island a couple of years ago, and the guy was like, oh, you work for a title company? I just paid off my house. And I said to him, okay, so here's the best advice I'm going to give you. In 6 months from now, make sure that you call the county clerk's office and you make sure that your mortgage has been satisfied and discharged. you want to make sure it's discharged, because what's going to happen is if 10 years from now, if the bank that paid off, and if you don't have that satisfaction of mortgage letter,
Yeah.
and you probably won't, and if it hasn't been discharged properly, it's still going to show of record. So why are you going to put yourself through that? As soon as you,
Or your family.
right. So if it's, and here's the thing with the mortgage schedule, it'll say mortgage schedule, none of record. That's what you want it to say if you've paid off your mortgage. If you have a mortgage that you've paid off and it still says that, you have to prove that that mortgage has come off, you know, and try and locate, you know, somebody that worked at Countrywide Loans or,
Yeah.
you know, Washington Mutual Bank. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you know, then you have to figure out who bought that loan. We have to get in touch with that bank, and at their leisure, they're going to get you the payoff letter. But it's just like, it's so easy to just take care of it up front.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't know that. Why would you know that, Tina? As a consumer, why would you know that? You
Well,
wouldn't.
I think that's the tip. Oops. So that's the tip. And I think that's what I want people to take away from this. And so I'm going to put like, wait for it in the end. Best tip, because you know, how much time is money, saves you time and the energy and the frustration of trying to do this. Do it at the time when you pay off your mortgage is what you're saying, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Wait a
Well,
few months and then just call and just say, hey, can you just tell me if it's a record? And they'll tell you.
of record.
Right.
Of record. Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Karinta. This was really interesting. I think, you know, one of the things is, I know, like I said, I didn't really understand what it was before, but I've got to know you and you've really educated me about it through your sound bites and through the testimonials that I hear from everybody, which are always excellent. What we're going to do is we're going to put your contact information, whatever it is that you'd like people to have, in the comment section of the video. And this way people, if, you know, whether it's, again, you're, you know, love to talk, I'm sure, to attorneys and real estate people, and you, I'm sure, educate anybody that would like to. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's perfect. So you want me to go into the chat and put in my information?
No, it's okay, because what I'll do is I'll get it from you and I'll put it in the comment section of the video. So we'll work on that, and maybe if you want to give us your website for Statewide too. So thank you so much for coming. I love these lunch and learns because I feel like I'm getting educated, and I just really appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
No, thank you for having me. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Thank you.